So we're going to go ahead and get going with Lesson 1.6. Lesson 1.6 is on special quadrilaterals. Now, why we call them special is because they've got a special name. Now, up here, you're going to notice this is actually a picture of the Louvre, okay, in Paris. And what this is this is actually an art piece that was designed by an artist specifically for this, but this is over in Paris. And the reason why they show this here, because you probably say, well, that's a triangle. Okay, yeah, but if you look inside the triangle, it's created with all these quadrilaterals and all these four-sided shapes. And so that's why they showed you a picture of that. And it's actually really beautiful because this is all glass. Okay. And so anyway, let's go ahead and talk about a trapezoid. What did you come up with your definition for a trapezoid? Yeah?
Four-sided figure with two parallel sides.
Okay, a four-sided figure with two parallel sides. So let's kind of pare that down a little bit. It's not only a four-sided figure, it's called a quadrilateral. Okay, so a trapezoid, the definition you probably should get down in your notes. A trapezoid is a quadrilateral with exactly one pair of parallel sides. You can't have two. It's got to be exactly one.
What? Yeah, but I had to go get a kid.
I was supposed to go back to that when I went to the office.
Okay. All right, so it is a quadrilateral with exactly one pair of parallel sides. Can't have two pairs. Has to just have one. So if I were writing this down in my notes, I would probably then draw like an example of a trapezoid, just so that you kind of have a visual what it looks like. Okay, trapezoids, you're going to notice I think Mr. Roman has like a trapezoidal table. Okay, and this actually has a special name. The ones like this one down here, they have a special name, and we'll talk about that. They're actually called isosceles trapezoids. Okay. But that is what a trapezoid is. All right, next one was a kite. What'd you come up with a kite? It's a quadrilateral. There you go, good.
Two sets of
congruent sides, close. Two distinct pairs of consecutive congruent sides. You need to have that word consecutive in there because the congruent sides have to be next to each other. Okay, a quadrilateral. So if you're writing this down, you could even put is a quad. Okay, you could abbreviate. You don't have to write out quadrilateral every time. That way it could shorten it a little bit for you. With two distinct pairs of consecutive congruent sides. Next, we have a parallelogram. So what was a parallelogram? So it is a quadrilateral
with opposite sides of equal length that are parallel.
Opposite sides, do they have to be equal length? I don't know if you say that they're equal length. We'll eventually learn about their lengths. Okay, but if you look at the parallelograms, they didn't have lengths marked, they only had parallel sides marked. Now if they're parallel, obviously they're going to have to be the same length. Okay, but a quadrilateral with two pairs of parallel sides. Now I like to think of a parallelogram as a slanted rectangle. Okay. Take a rectangle, you just kind of slant it a little bit. Okay. Good question. So could it be a rectangle?
Yes,
We'll have to see. That's not a rectangle as it's written. Because it doesn't have the angles. That's right. Okay, what about a rhombus? Okay, let's look at that. Short, sweet, to the point. It is an equilateral parallelogram. Okay, because we start with a parallelogram with the two pairs of sides, and then just all the sides are the same, equilateral. So you could say it's a parallelogram with all sides congruent. That would work. Okay. Whenever I hear a rhombus, I think of a diamond. Okay, or a slanted square. Now, granted, I know this one looks like a square, and we'll talk about it, yes, okay. But I like to think of a rhombus as a diamond. Okay, we have 2 more to go, and we'll be done for today. A rectangle. What'd you get for a rectangle? A rectangle is a...
Quadrilateral.
Okay, quadrilateral. Let's be a little more specific.
Parallel.
It's a parallelogram, okay? It's actually an equiangular parallelogram because all the angles are the same. So a rhombus is an equilateral. Okay? A rectangle is an equiangular. And believe it or not, if it's an equiangular parallelogram, what does every angle have to equal? 90 degrees. All right, so with those 2 thoughts in mind, rhombus and a rectangle, what do you think a square is? An equiangular equilateral. It's an equilateral rectangle, it's an equiangular rhombus, and it's a regular quadrilateral. And we'll talk a little bit about what that word regular means, okay, once you get those written down. It's an equilateral rectangle, an equiangular rhombus, and a regular quadrilateral. Now let's think about that word regular. What did regular, when we defined a regular polygon about 2 days ago, what did regular mean? Yeah.
All its sides are the same length and all its angles
Right.
are the same.
All its sides and angles are the same. So when you say it's a regular quadrilateral, you mean it's a 4-sided figure with all angles the same and all sides the same. And by the way, what do all angles have to be?
Even
90 degrees. Good. Okay, so with that in mind, you should be good to go on your assignment. It's on pages 66 and 67. It's 1 through 18 all. Now, if you want to use graph paper, that's fine. You might need it for 13, 15, 16, 17, and 18, but you don't need it. But if you want it, you know where you can find it. So.